AI broke the internet again, and this week may have been one of the biggest weeks of the year. China just open sourced a 1.6 trillion parameter model trained entirely on domestic chips instead of Nvidia hardware, and it's already beating GPT 5.5 on coding benchmarks. ComfyUI now lets Claude generate images, videos, audio, and even 3D models directly from chat. Anthropic drops Claude Sonnet 5, its most agentic sonnet model yet, at a fraction of Opus's price. Google unveils Nano Banana 2 Lite and Gemini Omni Flash, its fastest image model, and a brand new conversational video editing model. There's also a new Vibe coding platform for programming real robots with natural language, plus Claude Science, Anthropic's AI workbench built for researchers, and a lot more. So let's jump right in. First up, this is a genuinely massive story. It's called LongCat 2.0, and this is Meituan's new trillion parameter open source model, and the story behind how it was built is honestly wild. Now here's the headline claim. LongCat 2.0 is the first model of this scale to complete full training and inference entirely on a 50,000 card domestic compute cluster, meaning no Nvidia GPUs were involved anywhere in the process. The best guess from the technical community is that this ran on Huawei's Ascend 910B chips, though Meituan hasn't officially confirmed the manufacturer. If that's accurate, this would be the first time a Huawei-trained model has reached frontier-level performance in a transparent public benchmark. Now here are the actual numbers for your reference. On SWE Bench Pro, LongCat 2.0 scores 59.5, actually edging out GPT 5.5's 58.6 on the same benchmark. On SWE Bench Multilingual, it scores 77.3, and on Terminal Bench, it scores 70.8. Now that margin over GPT 5.5 might look small on paper, but the context is what makes this genuinely impressive. This is a model built on hardware China has been cut off from importing since 2022, and it's still landing punches on frontier-level coding benchmarks. Now for the architecture. LongCat 2.0 has 1.6 trillion total parameters, but only activates between 33 and 56 billion parameters per query, averaging around 48 billion. It uses 4 architectural pieces that haven't been combined at this scale before. LongCat sparse attention to make the native 1 million token context window efficient, ZERO compute experts that skip unnecessary calculations inside the mixture of experts layers, and a post-training system called MOPD that splits optimization into 3 separate expert clusters they call agent, reasoning, and interaction, each fine-tuned in isolation for its specific job. Here's a detail I find genuinely interesting. Before this had a name, it was quietly running on OpenRouter for 2 months under the codename Owl Alpha. During that stealth run, it became one of the most used models on the entire platform, processing an average of 559 billion tokens a day, with a 242% month-over-month jump in usage. Developers were already reaching for this model heavily before anyone even knew Meituan was behind it, which is honestly a stronger signal than any launch day benchmark chart. Now, I do want to flag something. The full model weights aren't public yet as of this recording, and the headline benchmark numbers are still Meituan's own self-reported testing. So as always, take that with a grain of salt until independent evaluators get their hands on it. Now, can you run this on your own GPU? Realistically, no. At 1.6 trillion total parameters, even with sparse activation, this needs serious multi-GPU infrastructure, not a consumer setup. This one's built for enterprise and cloud deployment. The awesome thing is it's released under an MIT license, which is about as permissive as it gets. The code is already on GitHub, and the model card is up on Hugging Face, with full weights expected soon. If you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this page in the description below. Also this week, ComfyUI releases a really useful new tool for anyone using Claude. It's called Comfy Cloud MCP. And this connects Claude Code and Claude Desktop directly to Comfy Cloud, so you can generate images, video, audio, and even 3D models straight from a normal chat conversation. No separate app needed. Now, this is genuinely convenient if you've ever wanted to search for specific Comfy nodes, models, or pre-built workflow templates without leaving your coding session. You just talk to Claude in plain language, like generate an image of X, or remove the background from this, and it calls the right tool behind the scenes. It comes with a set of built-in / commands too, for generating images, video, audio, and 3D, searching for models and nodes, removing backgrounds, and upscaling images. Setup is pretty simple. For Claude Code, you add the Comfy Skills Marketplace and install the Comfy Cloud plugin. For Claude Desktop, you add it as a custom connector with the server URL, and it signs in through a one-time OAuth browser login. It's currently in public beta, so expect some rough edges as they continue to iterate. If you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this page in the description below. Next up, Anthropic releases a pretty significant new model. It's called Claude Sonnet 5, and this is being positioned as their most agentic Sonnet model yet, meaning it can make plans, use tools like browsers and terminals, and run autonomously at a level that previously required much larger, more expensive models. Now, here's the interesting positioning. For a while now, the biggest agentic capability gains have been showing up in Anthropic's Opus class models, with Sonnet lagging a bit behind. Sonnet 5 is meant to close that gap. Anthropic says its performance is now close to Opus 4.8, but at a noticeably lower price. For your reference, on their cost-performance comparisons using BrowseComp for agentic search and OS World Verified for computer use tasks, Sonnet 5 is a clear improvement over Sonnet 4.6 across the board, and at higher effort levels, it can actually match Opus 4.8's capability on some specific tasks. Now, pricing is where this gets genuinely compelling. Sonnet 5 launches at an introductory price of $2 per million input tokens and $10 per million output tokens through August 31st, moving to standard pricing of $3 and $15 after that. For comparison, Opus 4.8 is priced at $5 input and $25 output. So you're looking at roughly half the standard price for performance that's closing in on Opus in a lot of agentic workflows. On safety, Anthropic reports Sonnet 5 shows an overall lower rate of undesirable behavior compared to Sonnet 4.6, including better resistance to prompt injection attacks and lower rates of hallucination and sycophancy. They also specifically tested it on developing software exploits for real Firefox vulnerabilities done in collaboration with Mozilla, and Sonnet 5 was never able to produce a full working exploit, though it did show a slightly higher partial success rate than its predecessor. For reference, it has substantially lower cybersecurity capability than their Opus class models. Claude Sonnet 5 is live now as the default model for free and pro plans, and available across Max, Team, and Enterprise, as well as in Claude Code and the API under the model string Claude-Sonnet-5. If you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this page in the description below. Also this week, Google releases two pretty useful new models. They're called Nano Banana 2 Lite and Gemini Omni Flash. And together, these are built to make fast, cheap, iterative image and video generation genuinely practical for developers. Now, Nano Banana 2 Lite is the fastest, most cost-efficient model in the entire Nano Banana family. For your reference, it generates a text-to-image output in just 4 seconds, at a cost of only $0.034 per 1,000 resolution image. Google specifically recommends it as a direct replacement for anyone still using the original Nano Banana model, since it's faster, cheaper, and higher quality across the board. Gemini Omni Flash, on the other hand, is built for high-quality video generation and conversational editing. In other words, you can refine and edit a generated video using plain language, combine images, text, and video as reference inputs, and it draws on Gemini's general knowledge, like history and narrative logic, to build more coherent scenes. It's priced at 10 cents per second of video output, which is the same price point as Veo 3.1 Fast. Now here's the interesting part. These two models are designed to work together in a single pipeline. You generate a fast image with Nano Banana 2 Lite, then feed that image into Omni Flash to animate it into a full video. Google even built a few demo apps to show this off, including one called Anywhere that teleports a selfie to famous landmarks and then animates the scene, and another called Spacelift that reimagines a room's interior design and then generates a cinematic video walkthrough of it. Now, I'll note the current limitations. Omni Flash currently caps out at 10-second video generations, with longer durations coming later. And character consistency across scene changes or panning movements still has some rough edges that Google says they're actively working on. Both models are cloud-hosted through the Gemini API and Google AI Studio, so there's no local GPU involved here. They're also rolling out across Google's consumer products, including AI Mode in Search, the Gemini app, and Google Flow. If you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this page in the description below. Next up, we have a pretty interesting new tool, specifically for robotics developers. It's called Booster Studio, and this is a full development platform built around what they're calling vibe coding for real physical robots, not just simulations. Now you see, robotics development workflows are usually pretty painful. You write code, set up a simulation environment, test it, then somehow bridge that over to actual physical hardware, often with a completely different code base for each stage. Booster Studio is trying to collapse all of that into one unified tool. The vibe coding part means you describe what you want the robot to do in natural language, and the platform's built-in AI generates the actual robot code automatically. It also includes a high-precision physics simulator that shares the exact same code base as the real hardware. So once something works in simulation, deployment to the physical robot is meant to be a single click, true sim to real with no rewriting required. It also brings together point clouds, 3D scenes, camera feeds, time series charts, and URDF robot models into one unified live view, with deep integration for MCAP and ROSBAG playback, which is genuinely useful if you're debugging sensor issues or reviewing motion trajectories. Now, this is a downloadable desktop app, not a model you run weights for, so there's no GPU benchmark here in the traditional sense. It's available natively for macOS on Apple Silicon, Windows, and Linux. If you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this page in the description below. And finally this week, Anthropic releases something pretty significant for the research community. It's called Claude Science, and this is a full AI workbench specifically built for scientists, bringing together all the fragmented tools researchers normally have to juggle into one unified environment. Now you see, scientific research usually means working across dozens of different databases, each with its own schema, dealing with file formats that need custom pipelines and viewers, and constantly switching between tools like PubMed, Jupyter, R, and a cluster terminal. Claude Science brings all of that into a single research environment. You interact with a generalist coordinating agent that has access to over 60 curated skills and connectors, pre-configured for genomics, single-cell analysis, proteomics, structural biology, and cheminformatics. These agents can spin up other specialist agents as needed, and a dedicated reviewer agent checks citations and calculations, flagging and correcting errors as it goes. Now here's a nice connection back to something I covered a few weeks ago. Claude Science specifically uses the skills from NVIDIA's BioNeMo Agent Toolkit to connect natively to life sciences models and libraries, including Evo2, Boltz2, and OpenFold3. If you remember, that's the same toolkit that took an agent from 57.1% to 100% task completion on biomolecular popular research tasks just by giving it properly documented, callable tools. Claude Science essentially plugs that capability straight into a scientist's daily workflow. It also natively renders rich scientific artifacts, including 3D protein structures, genome browser tracks, and chemical structures alongside the exact code and environment that produced them. So every result is fully traceable and reproducible, even months later. For your reference, in early testing, a neuroscientist at the Allen Institute used Claude Science to build a multi-agent system that cut the time to write a comprehensive scientific literature review from as long as 2 years down to a fraction of that, producing reviews over 100 pages with every citation checked by a reviewer agent. And an epidemiologist at UCSF reported roughly a 10-fold speedup on comprehensive genetic analysis workups, with results independently validated by his own lab. The awesome thing is, it's available right now in beta on macOS and Linux for Claude Pro, Max, Team, and Enterprise users. There's also a discounted team plan specifically for academic and nonprofit research labs. If you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this page in the description below. And that sums up all the highlights in AI this week. Let me know in the comments what you think of all of this. Which piece of news was your favorite? And which tool are you most looking forward to trying out? As always, I will be on the lookout for the top AI news and tools to share with you. So if you enjoyed this video, remember to like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content. Also, there's just so much happening in the world of AI every week. I can't possibly cover everything on my YouTube channel. So to really stay up to date with all that's going on in AI, be sure to subscribe to my free weekly newsletter. The link to that will be in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.